If you wanted to destroy American democracy forever, how would you do it? Here's a good start. You would make the process of checking and validating votes illegal. You would register voters regardless of who they were or if they even wanted to vote. You would then mail every person in America an insecure ballot, ensuring that millions of ballots are mishandled. You would lawfully protect a process that statistically guarantees fraud. You would replace local control of elections with corrupt bureaucracies thousands of miles away. You would give the power to count the votes to the corrupt in Washington. You would ignore the separation of powers, states' rights, and our Constitution. Does this sound like a third world hellscape? Sadly, this is not an anti-democracy nightmare from a far-off land. It's reality. Leftists in our government are in the final stages of killing our American democracy, and we must stop them. The left's vector to abolish our republic is a bill called H.R. 1. The left is trying to convince us that this legislation will help voters. They are lying to you. They always lie to you, to all of us. This legislation has already passed the House, and if these anti-democracy radicals get their way, this is what will happen to America's elections. The power for states to decide their own congressional districts and election laws will be stripped away and destroyed. This is fundamental to our democracy. State sovereignty will be decided by unelected bureaucrats appointed by the federal government. This is a blatant violation of our Constitution. Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2 of our Constitution declares clearly that state legislatures are solely responsible for election law in their states. This means state election laws must be followed to have a fair election. States' rights are key here, and they are being destroyed. States have the sovereignty to redistrict their own states, to decide where their congressional districts are. H.R. 1 destroys that right and gives the federal government the power to establish their own committees to violate a state's sovereignty in drawing congressional districts. This is a federal committee that you did not elect in charge of redistricting your state, your congressional district where you live. Does that sound like democracy? To make it even worse, the only thing that these committees will have to answer to is the federal government. With H.R. 1, the left will demolish the privacy rights of donors. This is where it gets really scary. This is the height of cancel culture. After the cancellation of everything from Paw Patrol to Goya Foods, the left have decided to make sure that all private American political donors are able to be targeted and canceled. Donors must have the right to privacy. Why? Well, a number of reasons. First, because the left have become fascists. Who are the people who push for free speech censorship? Fascists. Who are the people who make lists of their political enemies to target and harass? Fascists. The fascist left have hunted down and harassed, beaten and killed conservatives in the street. Isn't it amazing that the movement that claims to embrace anti-fascism are the closest things we have to fascism in America? You have a sacred right to privacy in your political affiliation and in your vote. Many states in America have voter ID laws. H.R. 1 will do away with the need for an ID to vote and make committing fraud much easier. It would mandate 15 days of early voting and do away with the need for a witness signature or notarization requirements on mail-in ballots. It would create the opportunity for fraudulent voting registration through an online process that mandates that states automatically register all eligible voters. Studies have proven that these voting methods are the most susceptible to fraud. So why enshrine them into law? You know why. Voter fraud is common in America. Those who tell you otherwise are lying. Here is a list of thousands, yes, thousands of recent instances of election fraud that have led to criminal convictions and even, yes, the overturning of elections in our country. Voter fraud does happen, and far too often in America. You deserve to know who wants this fraud to occur. The answer is the fascist left. They don't care about you, and they do not care about election integrity. They care about power and control. Are you in favor of this? No American should be. H.R. 1 is a bailout for the corrupt, cancerous Washington politicians who have ripped us off and failed us. That's all. We need strong, secure, fair, independent elections, not elections that are manipulated by our elites. The decentralization of the American election process is a fundamental basis for our republic. It is enshrined in our Constitution. The left is attacking your vote and the state's individual right to carry out their own fair and legal process for their elections. This is what anti-democracy looks like. It is against our republic. It is unconstitutional. This bill has already passed the Democratic-controlled House run by Pelosi. We are one step away from having our right to a legitimate election process taken away. H.R. 1 will destroy your sacred right to cast a vote and participate in our elections in a real and impactful way. If you wanted to destroy American democracy forever, how would you do it? You would pass H.R. 1. Will you stand up and speak out against this tyranny? I will. Speak out now before the left silences all of us.